we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining me this morning. My name is Jeff Howard. I am Director of Collaborative Impact at United Way of St. Lucie in Okeechobee. Again, I just want to take a moment to say I appreciate you all signing up to join on the Citizen Review panel. This is a vital part of our United Way process. And we like to think of it as kind of like the staple of our United Way, where this Citizen Review panel is something we're very proud of, that the community comes in and gets to pick what we fund in our community to serve our community. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my PowerPoint real here. All right. So just real quick, the mission at United Way is to improve lives by mobilizing the caring power of our community, which is exactly what we're doing right now. The vision at United Way, we envision a community where all individuals and families get to achieve their human potential through education, financial stability, and healthy lives. And that kind of definition of our vision right there makes up our funding pillars, which is education, financial stability, health, and also basic needs. This year, of course, we're only going to be reviewing basic needs and health applications. They do go on a 3-year cycle, so this year happens to be our basic needs and health applications. A quick overview of how this process works. We have the request for proposal. United Way will post our grants, and this is set up in EC Impact. It's going to be the same portal where we'll go in and make our reviews. We'll directly review their applications in that portal, and the evaluation will also be side by side while you're reviewing their application, so you can make that evaluation while you're in that process. Once the agencies do submit those applications, again, United Way staff, such as myself and my coworkers, will review some of those applications, try to weed out any that might not make it through the final rounds, any concerns that kind of stick out right away. Then we'll reach out to those agencies to see if there's anything we can clear up, and if not, let them know what is incorrect within their application and better help them come back next year. Once the United Way staff reviews those applications, then it becomes the Citizen Review panel's responsibility to then go through and review those applications, and then also attend our site visits or presentations to those agencies. Once those presentations are reviewed and the evaluations are submitted by our Citizen Review panel, the Collaborative Impact Committee at United Way will review those panel recommendations from all of you, and then we'll make some more funding decisions that get sent to the next part of our process, which is the award process. This is where our full board will review all of the funding recommendations, have a discussion, and then make those final recommendations for funding, after which the board will award these grants. Moving on. And if anyone has any questions at any moment, please feel free to just speak out and ask your questions. Better to ask it while it's fresh in your mind than try to remember later. Okay, so your Citizen Review panel member role, of course, as I mentioned, you'll review the written proposals within EC Impact. And you'll also participate in the presentation session with your assigned agencies. And once the presentations are all done and you've reviewed the written portions of the grants, you're completely set to go in and finish up your evaluations, which is similar to a scoring card. And it's based out of 100 points, just like any kind of grade in school. We'll go over that form within the next few slides here. Just to go over the funding categories that we are looking at this year, like I mentioned, it is basic needs and health. So to give you a background, what we're looking at when we're talking about those different funding pillars, the first one here, we have basic needs. we're really looking at low and moderate income households using a safety net of services that support those basic needs, such as food, shelter, and housing. Food is always a big one, and shelter and housing, I believe we all know how much the cost of living has been increasing in this area, so that has been a very big thing as well. So when an agency goes through and they do select basic needs to apply for under their funding, um, they're associating this with a specific program, not their whole organization. So they're going to come in and potentially maybe they have a food pantry they might apply for the basic needs funding for their food pantry. Then they go through here and they look at what quantity measures they would like to select. And this is what they keep track of if they do receive funding, what their impact is in the community. So we can go through here. So if they were doing food, they would probably select the quantity measure number of households who received food assistance or number of individuals who enrolled in food assistance programs. So they're going to find something that relates closely to their program outcomes and impacts. And these are what they would report on throughout the time frame of the grant, which is going to be July to June for the basic needs. These are 1-year grants. The health grant, that grant does come out on a 3-year cycle. So this will be the first year, 24, 25, and it will continue through 25, 26, 26, 27 will be the final year for health. But when looking at the basic needs funding here, that these do come out every year because we know how important basic needs is, and not to say the others are important, but basic needs is such a volatile kind of area to fund because things like this change so frequently. So moving forward here, our next funding category, the only other one open for applications, is going to be the health category. And when we're looking at this, we're talking about individuals and families leading healthy lives through access to quality medical services. And this can include physical, dental, as also behavioral health. We're also looking at agencies and programs that are preventing or responding to family violence, child abuse and neglect, suicide, and also efforts to create healthy systems and environments for families. So if an agency is coming in and applying for the health funding pillar here, they are also going to go through and select quantity measures that apply to their specific program for their health program. So this may be a number of different things, but looking at some of ours here, we have a number of individuals participating in physical activity, socialization, and or nutrition education programs. So I know a lot of programs out there that would fit into this are like these little cooking classes I've heard where they bring in families and they teach them how to cook with like different vegetables that they're not used to. And a lot of food pantries do this as well. They'll give you the fresh veggies and stuff, but then they'll also hold classes in-house that teach you how to make different meals with those vegetables or ingredients that they're giving you that maybe you're not used to, and ways to actually make you enjoy them and eat healthier. So things like that would be involved in health. Could be a number of individuals who access healthcare services. I know there's different vouchers for Medicare and things like that. It could be number of health sector staff trained to deliver quality services, so a training program to get the staff where they need to be. Some other health indicators and outcomes, and again, these are what the programs select to report on their impact throughout the process of being funded. And these ones, again, the health are 3-year grants. So looking at some more, it could be percent of individuals served who achieve and or make a progress toward a healthy weight, percent of individuals served who participate in healthy behaviors just creating that healthy environment for individuals and families. So we have quite a few different indicators and outcomes that agencies can select to best match what their program is seeking to serve. Looking at our timeline for the applications this year, we did open up applications for these agencies February 29th, and then they did close March 29th, so they were out a full month. We received about 40 applications from different agencies. Coming up, we have our panel presentations, which the citizen review panel, as yourself, will take part in. That'll be April 29th to May 7th. Not all those dates, mind you, it's going to depend on what panel you signed up for. If you signed up for health, that's April 29th and 30th. Basic needs is May 1st and 2nd. And then the Okeechobee panel, we don't have quite as many agencies out there, so that's going to be one day on May 7th. And then once we are complete with your presentations of your assigned agencies, you are more than welcome to go in and complete your evaluations within EC Impact and submit them. But if you want to go back and review a little bit more, maybe you have some questions that you wanted to reach out to me and ask, and I can then reach out to the agency if you have any follow-up questions afterwards of the presentation, we can reach out and get those answers. And then you'll have until May 12th to submit your evaluations within EC Impact. And I will go into EC Impact, so I'll help everyone who may not have been in their portal before, just kind of a little overview on how to navigate through there and get to your evaluations. As I mentioned, the panel schedule here, health is April 29th and the 30th. These will be 2 days, about 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I know a few people have reached out to me saying maybe they can't make a certain time on one of those dates, even if they did sign up for that panel, and that's completely fine. If you can, just let me know. That way I won't be expecting you on that time if you are signed up, and I can also adjust what programs that you have assigned for your evaluations. That way you're not missing the presentation to the one that you need to see. So looking at the other panel schedules, we have the basic needs. Again, that's going to be May 1st and 2nd. 2 days. This will also be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Lunch will be served on all these days. We'll provide lunch to all the citizen review panel members. That's why we ask for any dietary restrictions. That is useful information. We want to make sure the food we get you guys want to eat. So then the final panel day, as I mentioned, Okeechobee, May 7th, and that is a slightly shorter day. That'll be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, all panel scores are due in EC Impact on May 12th. Don't worry, I'll be reminding throughout the process too on that. I won't let anyone forget. The panel presentation format, this is an overview that we do send to the organizations that are coming to present to the citizen review panel. This way they know when they come in what to kind of focus on. So they'll walk in, we'll do a little introduction really quick, say everyone's, name, where they're from, what organization they're with. We try to get through that very quick, just so we're all familiar with each other. But then we go into the agency presentation. And within this presentation, they're going to focus on the program. All these applications, of course, it's a whole organization coming in and applying, but they're applying for a specific program under each pillar of funding. So one organization might have 3 different programs, but we're only looking at one every time we're looking at funding one of these. So we tell them to come in, focus on just the program that they're applying for, and not focus on the overall agency. They know to include a board member and any appropriate staff, and if applicable, such as client-served organizations, we do ask if they have a success story to definitely share that with us. And if possible, if that person from the success story can even come in and share their story from their perspective, that is always encouraged from us to the agencies to do that. Highlight any new program components, accomplishments, again, success stories. We love to hear that. Explain how their program utilizes collaboration with other organizations. So a lot of the times when a family needs services, chances are they need other different services because they're kind of in a cycle of all of this. So when one agency helps them with possibly food, they might also need clothing, which this agency or program might not do, but they're working out, reaching out with others to make sure that families' needs are served, not in just the way that they're serving the community. Then also explain the relationship between the request of the United Way funds and the program's ability to achieve those outcomes. So how dependent on is your success on receiving this United Way funding? Explain how your program fits in with the strategic priorities and our community goals within St. Lucie County and or Okeechobee County. And what would happen to our community if this program was no longer available? Kind of like a worst case scenario, if you weren't able to continue funding, how would our community react to that? How needed is your program in our community? And then after that, they'll also focus on the program budget. We did remove the organizational budget, but we still have the financial documents that is available for anyone to review if they so choose to. That is not something you're required to do, but we do make those audits and the submitted attachments that they all submit available for your review as well. Within that presentation on the budget, we want them to focus again on the program budget, not the overall agency budget, and explain any significant variances within that budget, maybe a line item increase, because we do have historical budgets. So it's going to show the budget from the previous year, their current year, as well as their projected year. So if any of one of those line items either decreases or increases for any reason, they can go and explain that discrepancy. Then if they also received United Way funds within the previous year, how were those funds used if they did receive those funds? And how does the program plan to use United Way funds with this program? Are they seeking just to hire additional staff, which is not something that we're always looking to do? We're more focused on the clients, getting them served, but we understand that sometimes, like in the earlier outcome training for staff, those things are needed as well. And then following that presentation, we'll give an opportunity for the panel members to ask any questions to the agency to get answers. And if they aren't able to answer, we'll ask for a follow-up, of course. Or like I mentioned as well, if you think of a follow-up question later and you're like, oh, I wish I could have got to ask that, you can email me, or you can, I'll show you once we get on to EC Impact, there's a little Q&A section. You can ask right into there. It'll send it right over to the administration side, which I can answer, and it'll send it right back to you, and you can get that answer right in the EC Impact. Again, the evaluation form that we use with an EC Impact is based on the 100-point grade scale. And there's going to be 5 different sections here, 4 with points. All those points add up to 100. And then once we get through all those, you'll recommend what funding level you think that program should get. And in that section, it's either be no funding, partial funding, or a full funding recommendation. Now here we'll take a look at what the evaluation form entails within EC Impact. You're going to have this form pop up in your portal, and as you review each program that you are assigned, on the left side of your screen you can have their application up for you to read, and on the right this will be right there next to you. So as you're reading it, you don't have to switch between 2 different screens. You can just go in there, say you found your answer. The agency has a diverse funding stream is one of the questions on this form. You might be looking at their budget form and get the answer right there, and then want to go right to your evaluation form to say how you view it, either excellent, very good, good, fair, poor, or no evidence. Each of these sections again makes up a portion of that 100 points at the end. Typically, we don't look at funding consideration if an agency scores under 70. Of course, sometimes there are reasons that we have to go back, like I mentioned, follow-up questions that we have to go back and kind of get answers from that might change those scores. We do give an opportunity to try to fix anything that might have been a mistake. But the first section of the form is going to focus on their organizational capacity, be it the agency's mission is clearly stated, the agency has the expertise and experience to deliver the program successfully. Again, agency has a diversified funding stream. We'll look at all this, and you rate it how you view is fair for them there. And then there'll also be a section for any questions that you want answered either by me, you can send those in, or you can write those in on your form to ask those at the presentation for the agency. Section B on the form is going to be the program information. This we're going to be looking at like the need for proposed programs clearly and adequately established, and the program addresses an unmet need. We're not looking to fund a whole bunch of duplicate type programs that are doing the same services. Now, we might have to do that if we look at, say, there's a food pantry over in, East Port St. Lucie, but we're looking at somewhere over here in Fort Pierce. Obviously, a lot of people using the food pantry probably won't be able to make it way over there. So maybe we need to look at a similar program, but that is serving a different area. Also within this form, another scoring aspect, the target population to be served is clearly described and methods to be used to encourage participation of the most in need. Information provided supports that the proposed strategies are evidence-based, best practices, and are effective with the target population. Incorporates a system to provide awareness and accessibility of the program to the target population. So a lot of the marketing, how are these people finding out about it? Is it in an area that they're able to get to? Each section, of course, will have that question and comment section. Same scoring as the previous form, from 5 to 0, excellent to no evidence. Section C is going to be their outcomes measurement. Again, this is going to be those indicators and outcomes that they're going to select, which they do report on throughout the timeline of their grant funding. So this could be the applicant clearly explains how their measurable outcomes support United Way's strategic plan in their focus area, whether it be the basic needs pillar of funding or health. The applicant uses tools and results collected to improve or strengthen the program. They clearly articulate the frequency, duration, and location of services and activities provided. It is clear how unduplicated clients' performance is tracked and measured, clearly showing advancement towards achievement of the outcomes identified. And also the applicant uses program results to process improvement or outcome development. So they're taking the results and looking at maybe what they did different, what's working, what's not, and using those practices to really improve their program. Section D, this is the final section. This is going to be the site visit or presentation. Here you'll first select which staff was able to attend. So you can go through here and circle which ones all attend. Obviously, if they all attend, that would probably be a 5. Maybe if only a couple attend, it might be a 4 or a 3, but maybe they do get a lot of attendance, which is great, but maybe they might not have the right people, which we have seen sometime, and that might not be so great. The overview of the program by appropriate staff was complete, clear, and organized. Again, appropriate staff. we do send those out to the agencies. All staff that should attend, they should know something about the finance. So when we have finance questions, you can answer that. There should be a board member present from the agency. So when we ask about board involvement, what kind of expertise is your board bringing? We can really get a firsthand answer from that board member. Like the client, when you hear about the success story, it's great to hear it from, the agency's perspective, but it really hits a lot different when they bring in that client and you hear from their perspective. So we do encourage all that. The program presentation included discussion on outcomes or how it fits within strategic priorities and collaboration. And the success story adequately portrayed the program's impact in the community. Again, not every agency is going to have a success story. So that this question may either apply to a program or not, and we do consider that within the scores at the end if it really applied to their program. Again, once you get to that funding recommendation section, you're either going to recommend full funding if available, partial funding, or no funding. Once you make those recommendations, then the committee that I mentioned earlier that reviews afterwards and the board takes a look at the whole picture of what we have to allocate as far as funding goes, and then we'll break it up based on what the panel said here. This is going to be the link that I will send to you. This is a specific link in EC Impact for volunteers. So once you sign in through this, you'll be on the home page and you should have all your assigned programs for your review right on your home page. And you can go through and click on those. And we will look at that next in EC Impact so everyone knows how to navigate that. It's pretty simple, but if you haven't been in there before, it can be a little daunting at times. But any questions now before I open up EC Impact? That up for us. Moment. All right, so now we're on our EC Impact. Once you sign in, I'm on my test volunteer profile here. So this is from me. This is what your page is going to look like. You're going to have about 4 to 7 assigned programs, depending on which programs you were assigned and which pillar of funding you did sign up for, whether it be basic needs, health, or the Okeechobee panel. So opening up mine here, I have 5 different agencies, and each of these agencies has one program for me to review. So I can go in and select any of these agencies to start reviewing. Once I click on it, it's going to bring up their whole application. The forms right here are not separated, so it's just one very long application. Which can be difficult to scroll through, especially if you're looking for something specific. Say you wanted to just jump right to their budget, and you're not sure exactly where that is on this very long scroll wheel. You can actually go up to this top part, this jump to section. It's going to give you a drop-down menu. So you can go through this drop-down menu, and these are all the individual forms that they did complete within this one long document. So again, if you wanted to go to a specific section like program budget, you can hit this drop down menu, come right down, and there's program budget. And it's going to bring you all the way down to wherever that is. And now you can go through and review their program budget. And like I mentioned, all of the time, this right to the right, we're going to have the evaluation form. It's this little orange flag I have over here tucked over to the right. If I click that, it's going to expand my evaluation form out. And now I can go through, and while I'm reviewing their application, I have the evaluation form right here to see if there's any questions I have that correlates with the information I'm looking at on the screen to my left. So again, like I mentioned earlier, within the organizational capacity, one of these questions is agency has a diversified funding stream. Well, probably to figure that out, maybe I do want to ask in person and get a little more clarification, but I can also go to their budget, take a look at what kind of revenues that they're getting in, and answer that right there. Again, it's going to be excellent, which would be a 5, very good, 4, good, 3, and so on until no evidence, which is a 0. Any questions or comments you want to include within your evaluation, you can type right here at the bottom. And it's very important that you do put as many comments as you can, and or questions that may help the agency. It's kind of like constructive criticism. A big part of this is if the agency doesn't receive funding, or even if they do and they request, of course, we would give them this information, but we like to give these evaluations, the scores, all these comments to the agencies that were denied funding. And it's so that they can go back and see where they could improve. And within these comments, a lot of the times there's a lot of suggestions. You might want to do this differently. Maybe they didn't realize the perspective of how the community might have saw something they were doing. So that's always a great opportunity for the agencies, if they didn't receive funding, to go back, look at what they can improve, and then come back next time and hopefully fix all those little things that stuck out the year before. Again, questions and answers. You can ask the question in this evaluation form, but that's not going to send it directly to me for answer. That's more of like a down the line follow-up question for the agency to review themselves. If you want to ask a question that you want to have answered, either by me or afterwards, of course, you can always email me, but there's also a Q&A section within EC Impact here. So if I look up at the top right, I have view/ask questions. I can click on that. You can see I already put a test question in here. So what I would do, was there a question? I'm sorry. No. Okay. So if you want to ask a question, again, you just put any subject you want. Maybe you might want to put the agency it is, we'll just put test agency 1. Just send whatever question you want, sample question. You can hit save my work. It's going to bring it up to all your questions that you've asked. This will send it again to my administration side of EC Impact. It'll notify me that I was asked a question regarding a program or agency. Then I can go in, type the answer for that, and you can go right back in here. You should get notified that the question was answered, but you can always go back and check your questions and answers, and it'll save these for you here. So you can always go back and review those. Again, subject, question. It seems like there would be a submit button to submit the question, but all you do is save my work once you ask the question, and that will send it over. And it'll give you this green little check mark, signifying that question was sent. Just to show you real quick, the evaluation form. Again, it has those 4 sections: organizational capacity, program information, outcome measurements, and then site visit/presentation. Pretty much section A, B, and C you can complete pretty much in its entirety if you'd want even before the presentation. Or maybe you want to put in kind of like a temporary score where you think you're at and then ask some additional questions once we get to the presentation that might clear some things up, or maybe change your thought of how it was worded within the application, and it might better their score or it might decrease it depending on their answers, of course. And then section D, the presentation, of course, wait to complete that until we're at the presentation. And during the presentation, I will give you a paper form so you can write any notes of this section D. And also I'll give you all the full sections. So if you have any notes throughout the presentation, you can handwrite those, go back later on your computer and update anything that you might want to do there. Once you complete the evaluation form, there should be a save and submit button down here at the bottom right of the evaluation. You can always push this off to the side just by clicking this orange flag. And again, if you are on here and you don't see the evaluation form, you just need to click that orange flag and I'll pop it back out for you. Another section that I mentioned, if you want to review any of the submitted attachments from agencies, such as an audit, their 990, any of that supporting documentation, you can go up here to the top right, click on supporting documents. It'll show you how many they have submitted there. And then you can go through and click on any of these documents that you wish to review. It's not completely necessary to review those to have enough information for your evaluation forms. That's simply if you want to do a little bit deeper of a dive on any of that information that is there for you to review. To jump back, if you want to go exit off the current program you have on your screen and review a different program, we can go back up to the top left here, and it's going to say My Assigned Evaluations, and click that, and it's going to bring me back to my home page. Then you can select any other program you want to go on. If you want to print it out, it is very lengthy applications, so I wouldn't suggest printing it out, but if it was something that just happened to be convenient for you, there is a print button, so you can go ahead and print those out. Maybe you want to go read the application at the park or something, I'm not sure, but that is available for you to do as well. Again, you have that question and answer section within each application while you're reviewing it, but also on your home page, you can select the question and answer tab here to review if those questions that you submitted were answered yet. Those should send to my email to notify me again that those questions have popped up, so I will try to answer those as quickly as possible. If I can't answer it right away, I might have to reach out to the agency to get an answer, but I will let you know that I'm in the process of reaching out, and I will get back to you as soon as I hear back from them. That looks about everything I could show you on how to navigate it, but now I would love to leave some time. If there's any questions on EC Impact, I'll leave this open for now so I can navigate to it. But feel free to ask any questions about anything you might be concerned about, or you need more information about. The floor is yours now. No questions?
Hi, Jeff. I have a question. This is Camille. I apologize because I was en route listening on the call. And did you say you have like a link to to this particular portal that you're going to forward to us? And will you be sharing the PowerPoint that you just went over for us?
Yep. This
Okay.
meeting was also recorded, so if you want to go back and review it, I will send the recorded meeting. I'm going to send out the PowerPoint that I shared at the beginning, so you can review that with the meeting if you'd like. I will send out the link for EC Impact for everyone to sign into. And if you didn't have a previous login for EC Impact, I did create one for everyone who has signed up, so I'll go ahead and send you your login information. It should, because I believe I checked the box for everyone while I was creating it, but it should ask you to update your password upon logging in. I gave everyone a very generic password, but of course, once you get in, feel free to update all of that information.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
So also, is it fair to say we could start sooner than later, or you prefer us to start sooner than later, or is there a certain
Absolutely.
time? Oh, okay,
You may start as soon as I give you your login information. You can sign in and start reading those applications that you've assigned. Yeah, it's best to start as early as possible too. That way it gives you as much time to review it as well as develop any questions that you might have. And like I said, you can submit that even before the presentations in that Q&A section. So before the presentation does take place, you might have a question that they've already answered because we sent that out to them. Any other questions? This is an easy group. You guys get it then. It's pretty simple though. It's fairly easy process. It is a lot of reading. I won't lie there. There's a lot of information and all that. But anytime if you have any concerns, you need any assistance, you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You all should have my email. It's Jeff, Jeff, period, Howard, HOWARD, at uwslo.org. And that stands for United Way, St. Lucie, Okeechobee. And of course, my number is 772-464-5300. And my extension is 103. And within that email too, I'll make sure to include my number as well. So you'll have every way you can contact me. Any other questions? All right. Well, I just again want to take a moment and thank you all so much for signing up. This is a huge part of what we do at United Way, and we do rely on a lot of the community's perspective and their guidance on what we should fund because you're the ones out in the community, living in the community. So we really, really appreciate all of your insights. But with that, everyone else, enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll be sending that email out soon, and we'll see each other soon.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a great day.